Research in the UK has undergone significant changes recently. In today's PhD PDF Scholarship podcast on dynamics of UK research and future of international applicants, we will discuss new research opportunities in the UK, changes in the visa policies, and much more with Dr. Anurag Roy from the University of Exeter. This conversation is designed to assist anyone looking to pursue research in the UK and adapt to the latest trends and support systems available. So, welcome Dr. Anurag Roy to our podcast. And our listeners would be interested to know about you and your research in simple language before we start our discussion.
Thank you very much, Nirmal, for inviting me for this wonderful podcast. I follow Nirmal quite a long time in LinkedIn, and from that I came to know, this guy is actually doing something different, new, a new thing for the students, and that's very highly appreciable. So that's what I thought. Let's check with Nirmal whether I can be included in the podcast somehow. So thank you for giving me an opportunity, first of all. And hello, everyone. I'm Anurag Roy. I'm from India. My birthplace in Kolkata. It's in eastern part of the India, but I live in the UK. It's almost 6 years now, from 2018. I did my master's from Indian School of Mines, Dhanbad, in chemistry, and followed by I worked for Tata Steel for 8 months in Jamshedpur headquarters, and then I joined my PhD in Jadavpur University. And after finishing my PhD, I joined as a postdoctoral researcher in the University of Exeter. And currently, I'm, taking forward that role with a bit more senior position at this moment. So I'm currently working as a EPSRC research fellow, and my current project dealing with the smart composite material development for window glazing. To be honest, very frankly speaking, window glazing is a very common thing in Europe and mostly Western countries, not effectively in the Indian or the Asian countries because of the climate. Here, glazing is a very important part of a building design or a social factor, to be honest. And so that's what, glazing can be important for research and development. That can be another section of study that when I came to Europe, then only I can generate, this can be a factor of research. I mean, in India, we just put something on the window and we don't care about how the heat exchange is actually going on throughout the house. So that's what as a material chemist, because my background is all our chemistry, my master's, bachelor's, PhD. So as a material chemist, my current role is to develop and design some smart composite material, which can be act as a layer on the top of the glass, or can be filled within between the two glass panes as a double glazing unit, or can be included as a substitute of glass, so that overall the component can control the external heat or external temperature to maintain the thermal comfort level intact for the inside occupant. So in general, what does it mean? So if suppose your outside temperature or outside weather is too hot, you still feel too cold, too moderate temperature inside your house, so you don't need to turn on an AC. And on the other hand, if the outside temperature is, say, too cold or snowing, for example, so your inside temperature still remain comfortable level up to 20 to 22 degrees Celsius, so that you don't need to turn on a heater. So what does it mean? So you can actually directly control your energy bills. You can save a lot of energy. Don't turning up to any heat appliances, whether a heater or AC, or rather any electrical appliances, to save energy, and more going to the renewable natural source of energy controllable. So that's my current project, wherever I'm working at the same time on the different materials for different solar application. That includes the very emerging perovskite solar cells. So those who are currently a trendsetter and giving a very high efficiency in the solar cells research field, and very new to this, beyond the silicon, the traditional solar cells. And also I'm working on the different catalysis design for solar to hydrogen generation, mostly through the water splitting through photocatalytic method. So that's a bit of chemistry. There is electrochemistry, there is photodynamics, there is sunlight intensity, and all those terms are related to my research. And also I'm teaching a part of a few courses available in the university, and our university is one of the best universities, at least in the UK, who is serving for the renewable energy courses. And I'm taking care a big part of the solar energy, syllabus here. So yeah, that's me. And yeah, happy to interact. As Nirmal said, that this is a podcast for the students, those who are looking for the PhD opportunities or higher studies opportunities in the UK. So I will be honest and definitely try to be to the point that what exactly the grant system or the PhD system is actually handling throughout the UK, and what are the factors this can be affected for your application or the applicant's overview. So hopefully it will be effective for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Anurag, for that introduction. And of course, your research area will be, I will aim for another podcast because it's quite interesting and quite relevant, coming to address the sustainable issues as well. So I think now let's get started with the discussion points.
Yeah, so it was nice hearing about the glazing factor and how it is so important in the European countries. Yeah, so maybe for the masters as well as PhD students, the basic question will be what are the recent research trends that you have noticed? Maybe you are the person who has there been for like 6 years, so you know what happened before COVID and past COVID, right? So, based on the research funding and the grants that you have seen, so what are the recent trends in research that people opt in the UK in these recent times?
Yeah, thanks, Arun, for this question. I think this is really a very important question before making an application. So, in the UK, or in terms of the UK research, I think the current research is definitely going on to the government net zero policy, which is their aim to be completed by 2050. So, all of the research, whether it is PhD or postdoc, I think it's better to be aligned with the government policy at the net zero 2050 target. So mostly they are going for the technology transformation, energy security, and of course in medical field they are also trying to evolve some new things. So after COVID and before COVID, I think the major change has been noticed for the energy sector. They are more currently looking for the renewable sector, or hydrogen sector, or say EV, electrical vehicle, or the battery supercapacitor. That area is literally now currently emerging. But beyond that, in the medical science, they are also looking for, like after this vaccine and all those issues that came up during the COVID time, and we know that how the surviving loads of people, it's very difficult. If suddenly some outbreak comes, So AI mapping here is play a very important role. So any AI or machine learning, so those who are working on the softwares or the theoretical part of data learning, data machine, so that's also currently a very emerging field. So I would request, or it will be great that if the aspirant, the students or whatever, the applicants are looking for some application, or in the meantime, if they can learn some software or some techniques, through that at least they can give an impression or an idea that if this is happen, so in future that can be the outcome. So an indication, I think that is more important currently. Even being a completely material chemist or a lab scientist, it's very difficult for me to sometimes to understand that, okay, or predict sometimes that, because we are being a chemist is almost we are gonna for a trial and error method. So if something is working, then we are going to report, but that also takes a lot of time. To save this time, I think here is the importance of the simulation or the machine learning. So I think the current generation or the current study, any field of study, it depends on the AI, machine learning, or other simulation softwares. Maybe I don't know perfectly, but I think beside the experimental part, theoretical part, or combination of the both system is very, very emerging at this moment. And all this research has to be or better to be aligned with the UK strategy net zero 2050. So it's easier to get involved to the current research of the university, and also it is easy to justify where my research meets.
Just to add on to it, can students or the applicants can literally find something like a newsletter or something regarding these policies and all these things? Do you know about any resources that you can share with the students?
Yes, of course. Yeah, please update your email alert with the UK government. They are all our open public platforms, so anybody can update their email ID through their newsletter alert. It's very easy. Just subscribe their emails. Go for the UK government, and for example, there are lots of other funding sources. Majorly in the UK, they are UKRI. So they are actually controlling like in India, we have DST. So similarly, if we think like that, UK has this UKRI system, and there are a lot of funding opportunities. So just go and click the email alert according to your subject or choice or keywords. So you will get automatically the notification into your email. And all resources are public domain. So anybody can access anything, no restriction.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Dr. Anurag, just adding to what Arun said, I just have a one, because you're there for more than 5 years now. So you might have been there before pre-exit and after pre-exit. So what do you believe was the issues or impacts of it on international collaborations, let's say with industries as well as with academia? And how do you believe it will affect the people, international applicants who will be coming somewhere in the future, be it a master student, master by research, or let's say a PhD or a postdoc? Because I believe that because I'm also in UK right now, so I see that collaborations are a little bit getting stringent because after the European Brexit. How do you believe will it affect the future people?
Okay, thanks, Anirudh. It's technically it's a very political question, because Brexit is, it's not directly affect the academics. Also, it's affect for others' jobs at the same times. But yes, I'm against Brexit. Honestly, even the whole Cornwall where I'm living, they are also against this system, because it's very difficult now for us, even for the Brits, to go and work in other European countries due to the Brexit shits. But yeah, collaboration is currently difficult because I think it's not just because of the Brexit. Maybe Brexit is one of the reason, and also share of funding. due to the Brexit that makes more complication of the funding system. For example, you are on MSCA program, I mean Marie Curie program, so UK was not qualified for the Marie Curie for last 2 years. There was a European Union was not giving that much of fund, which is actually before the Brexit UK supposed to get. So anyway, now this problem has been sorted out, and you can also get the similar fund similar to the other European countries. But yes, the funding sharing due to the Brexit and visa getting, because still previously there was no visa requirement for working in the Europe, but now if it is more than 90 days, and definitely for postdoc or any worker it should be more than 90 days, so you need to make a separate visa. So when these visa issues come, so then the more complicated things are on the way, like you have to get the permission from the university, the contract, the blah blah blah, visa supporting scheme, insurance, all these things comes and things become more complicated. And it is common for all, for everyone, not like that only for Indians, for British also, because of the Brexit things. So yes, you are certainly or partially right that Brexit makes the things a bit complicated because of the funding sharing and ineligibility of going through the European system, because some of the funding due to Brexit UK can't apply, unfortunately. But yeah, it's not in our hand. I mean, honestly speaking, and it affects, seriously, it's affect. Previously, it's very easy to fly Europe, and now for not for visiting, I mean to say for more than 90 days, you can easily go for an internship or visiting to any industry or university, that's fine. But now everything is more or less a kind of very strict, and lots of paperwork and lots of procedure you have to follow. So that makes lots of and if people thinking, oh, I have to go this step to visit there, they will automatically go back and think, okay, I'm happy here, I don't need collaboration. So that's also indirectly affect your mental stress, that why I'm going for the collaboration, which creates a lots of paperwork to do. Right. So maybe it's not directly, but indirectly you are feeling like that way, that, okay, if I go, because previously it was so open, you just go randomly visit some university, test something, come back, easy. But now there is hard and fast rule and everybody needs to follow. So yes, there is an impact and we don't know how to deal with that. Yeah.
So, do you believe it also affected the, let's say, skilled worker visa, let's say, your global talent visa and different type of visas? Because a student who's coming, or let's say a postdoc who's coming, he'll be looking at these visa opportunities. So, when he or she's coming, when the visa opportunities like this after Brexit, I suppose it could also affect the visa opportunities for people, international applicants, majorly. Is there any did it happen, or you believe it's something like that got affected?
You mean for the Brexit, this is affected by the Europeans or everyone?
I meant, do you believe after the Brexit, the visa policies, or let's say the number of visas, let's say skilled worker visa, global talent visa, the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 type of visas, did it also affect that, or do you believe there was no effect of Brexit on the number of visas or the visa policies for the people who are coming for masters, PhD, or postdocs?
Okay. No, I don't think so, because every university has some quota of visas, honestly, and there is no, suppose you get a grant, okay, so you are eligible to apply for the visa quota for that university. How does a visa quota works? Let me clear it. So suppose I'm a professor in a university, okay, I wrote a grant, I get the grant, and now I apply to the HR of the university. I need to hire, say, 3 postdocs internationally, right? So for the international postdocs, every university in the UK, they need the COS number, usually for the skilled worker visa. It's called it's certificate of employment, or I forget, sponsorship. Okay, certificate of sponsorship. It's called COS. So every university has to apply to the Home Office for this COS number, right? So it's not cost a lot. It's, I think, £200, £150, something like that, per each applicant. So say 3 applicants, they can apply for that. But every university has a quota. So suppose the university has 100 COS, they can apply. So they cannot go for 103 extra. So there is then the HR or the that department will take care of that when the project start and how they can adjust with their quota. Okay, number one, this COS for the skilled worker. Now come to the global talent visa. That is a very good thing about the this new UK government they have done. So global talent visa, you don't need to depend on the university. If you have secured your own funding from any funding body, any, not necessarily UK, any funding body, but you want to do your research in any UK university, you can directly apply for the global talent visa. Because in global talent visa, they first check, do you have secured enough funding or not? For example, I'm sure Marie Curie gets the global talent visa, right? Because you have your own funding. You secure, if you are go for Royal Society Fellowship or any other individual fellowship like Fulbright or others, individual own fellowship, there is no problem. You don't need to go for the HR system and all. You can directly apply for the global talent visa. So there is no restriction about that, and anybody can apply, because end of the day, you are investing your own fund to the UK university, so they will definitely welcoming you. But when it comes to the university project, then it go for the skilled worker visa, because university is actually supporting for your visa, because you don't have, or the applicant doesn't have his or her own funding. So university actually supporting, and here comes the COS and all these restrictions. So I think after Brexit or before Brexit, it doesn't make a big difference. But for us, for Indian, it is same. It doesn't make any impact whether we have Brexit or not Brexit. But for Europeans people, yes, there is a clear difference, a clear, problem that before Brexit they can easily come and work here. They don't need any permit for staying, but now it's more complicated. And here comes, if somebody coming from India or somebody coming say from Germany, now the panel will decide that which one is more frequent for them. Yeah. So that's the last part. I mean, after selection of the candidate, but it is now an important factor. For example, if I'm applying for a job, so if I'm a European people or if I'm an Indian nationality, definitely European nationality they prefer automatically preferred, gives priority, because it's easy for them to connect rather than Indian people. I feel the same, and honestly, so this has happened after the Brexit, because before Brexit it is very easy to relocate anywhere. Now it is so restricted, so it's difficult for the European people. But Indian people, it's same, doesn't make any difference.
So thank you for that answer. That makes things clear.
Yes. After having the Brexit, like there is also recently in the last December, there were a lot of new policies and new immigration stuff being released in the UK, and given the recent changes in the immigration rules, I mean, like one of them was for the skilled migrants, like they should earn a minimum amount of, I think, £38,000, which is quite high compared to the normal postdoc or the early career researchers earn. So how is UK going to attract the global talents by putting these sort of constraints among themselves? And how do you see that, or like what are the other options available for the early career researchers to do some research in the UK or to initiate some collaborations? Or how is UK dealing all these sort of uncertainties with the new changes in the policies?
Yeah, that's a good question. And Yeah, first of all, there are a lot of immigration changes has been going to be in place after spring, I guess. It's still not in place. I mean, still not effective. The previous one is still there. The new immigration rule will be, I think, after April or May sometimes. Yeah, there is no exact date, but it's after the spring. Definitely. So first of all, the new rule is previously the postdocs usually get the skilled worker visa if they are coming through the university HR systems. Like as I mentioned, COS is called a certificate of sponsorship. So if that system they are coming, so they will get the skilled worker visa. Now, previously the minimum salary requirement for the visa was 26,000 something. Now they have increased to 38,000. That one. So number one, that change is made. Next is all the master students cannot now, take their dependents, maybe wife, mother, whatever. They banned it. So no dependents allow for master students. And also for the carer worker, those who are working in the hospitals, like nurse, doctor can, but not nurse or other carer workers, technicians, they also can't bring their dependents. Okay, they banned that one. And next is they increased the family visa fees, threshold fees as well. It was previously 28,000. Now it is almost 20, 38 or 40,000 something. So these are the three critical major changes they have made. And yes, that's gonna effective from after spring, sometimes in May. Okay. Now the question is whether it is affected to current postdoc application or not. So first of all, it is not our duty or not our department to think about it. It's completely the advertisement. So they will release the advertisement in such a way so that they can support your visa. Okay, so here comes another question. So taking, say, for example, here is the Brexit also links. So if previously there was no Brexit, so if it is the salary, say it is now threshold to 38. So if they're decreasing to say 26, they can easily hire an European people because they don't need a visa. They can easily come and work. Now the threshold increased to 38, and at the same time, they can't hire any European guys after Brexit because of the work visa, issues. So therefore, they can go to anywhere in the world. So that's a good sign for the Indian people that they can get more chance compared to the European region. Because taking a European guy or Indian guy now, same for them, doesn't matter. They need to pay at the same amount, same visa, and same time. So it's now not like that. It's now more open to the Indians, so that or the other people, other countries' people, not exactly Indians, say Brazil, Argentina, or African people as well. Anybody can apply for the work visa, and the opportunity is more. Definitely make the skill other requirements. That's also important. So that's number one thing. So when the advertisement come or they are thinking to release, so definitely they will take care of the minimum threshold value, because this is completely meet the requirement of the visa immigration. So we don't need to think about that. At least you, if you are getting the COS or the skilled worker visa or global talent visa, definitely you meet the minimum requirement of the visa threshold salary. So we don't need to think about that. That's completely university's department. Okay, so now our part is, the applicant part is to just apply carefully, positively, do the best, and rest of the visa things and all those immigrant things, that HR department, they will think about it. We don't need to, honestly, we don't need to think about it. Number one. But what that thing that is dependent things or other associate things, that maybe we need to think that if we are applying, or I need to take care, or I need to take with me my wife or girlfriend, whatever, mom, dad, kids. So that may be another problem, and that may be a family problem or personal problem. So they can think about it and then decide whether they want to go or not. But usually all the master's course in the UK are 1 year, so mostly 1 year. So hopefully if they are happy to stay being far for 1 year, that's fine. It's their personal things, yeah. But yes, so that's the thing. The new visa changes, and the main intention of this change is to stop the immigrants, illegal immigrants mainly, because we are very close to France, by the way. France is from here just 300 miles, and we have a regular ferry system. And through that English channel, there are loads of immigrants are coming, and illegally. So they want to stop that, and they just to do that. I don't know what that's the government policy. They are putting lots of barrier for the immigration rules to stop illegal people to come. And it's not India is a comparatively cleaner country, but a few countries, people, when they come as a dependent, and they just stay here even illegally. So that is completely illegal, and they can't go for many reasons. And next, they are asking for refugee visa, because UK are also providing refugee visa. And nowadays the number of refugee visas are quite long. I mean, a very high number. So this much of refugee visa for a country cannot give. So to balance all these things, so they need to make a strict decision, and let's see when it applies, then we can make a sense of that what is actually happening for the job application. For honestly speaking, for others people, there is nothing to worry. If there is an application, definitely it meets all the requirement of the visas and immigration's rules, so they are feel free to apply. They don't need to think about the threshold limit or all those criteria. Yeah. They can bring the dependents still. Skilled worker visa bring the dependents. There is only the master students can't. Student visa holders can't. Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Anurag. I just adding to the previous question that Nirmal asked. What do you believe could be some considerations, let's say, that a master student or PhD should be taking while choosing UK as a research destination for his research? That's the point, first part of the question. The second part of my question is, what are the fields or let's say institutions aligned with the UK RI, or let's say UK net 0 to 50 vision that you believe, aligning with the consideration that you might state above, might be some fields or institution that you believe could be something of great interest to the people who come for research to UK now. Just like you said that your University of Exeter is doing great work in the field of solar power energy, and you're working with perovskite and stuff like that, which is aligning with the UK net 250 net 0 2050 mission. Are there some other things that you believe would be helpful or consideration that a researcher might need to take?
Okay, yeah. So go back to your first question, that why a student gonna choose UK as their first preference, right? It's very good question. First of all, it's not just about definitely university ranking, their curriculum structure, their research integrity, or the quality of research. These are all matters. There is nothing new to say. But the most important thing of choosing UK is the very multicultural activity. That is the most benefit point. And I think in terms of Indian background, I would say we lack of that. It's not just, say your research publicly, how you can explain, that's also a skill, and that you can only develop when you come this type of countries. Being, think out of the box, and how to interact your research with the social factors, with your society, with your local people, local market, how link your research to the local people directly, that idea, that flow, that opportunity, or you may say that platform that UK can give you. That I'm sure about that. If they think beyond their research can be go papers or publication, then definitely UK is a big chance, and it's quite multicultural, multi-dimension, and quite interdisciplinary. So you can work in many disciplines at a time. That atmosphere is here. It's not necessarily I'm a chemist, I should go only to work with another chemist or another biologist. I can work with a computer science guy at the same time. Just we need to think how my research and their research could be aligned. So that's the opportunity and platform here UK gives. For example, UKRI or many other resources, funding resources, they give many interdisciplinary calls. Through that, we can apply and we can align and gives an idea to the world. Okay, my research can be applicable for the a computer science field or mathematics field. For example, as I'm doing research on the glazing, as I mentioned, window glazing, so I collaborated with an environmental scientist. So why? Because I want to check the air quality index level of indoor and outdoor when I'm applying for my smart windows. Okay, so I installed the windows, for example, in India, in Delhi, and the same window applied here, say in London. And we are just, so my duty is to check the thermal performance, but what about the air quality index? What makes this window actually impact on the society or the nature directly? So here comes the interdisciplinarity, and you can redirect to some environmentalist or some environmental scientist. So this idea, this platform, or this connection or this network is very, very common and very popular and good chance to be in the UK. So that's I think the added value to be in the UK always. And regarding the visa and immigration, I'd say the Global Talent Visa gives an opportunity to get the settlement visa in just 3 years. So if somebody can get want to stay in the UK for longer term, they will get settlement visa easily by 3 years. I think in US it's very difficult to get a the green card and all those stuffs, and even in the EU. So that's also a good thing. So if somebody wants to grab and further future opportunity in the UK, so go for the global talent. So only within 3 years you can get the settlement visa here. That's a big opportunity for the immigrants that they can hold. And about, I forget the next question, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll repeat the same question. The same question was, aligned with the considerations that you have just stated now, what are the fields or let's say universities that you think could be the upcoming for the future researchers? Because just like you said, photovoltaic could be a thing, or let's say wind turbine could be a thing, renewable energy could be a thing, or carbon neutrality could be a thing. So what are the universities or fields that you believe could be upcoming for future researchers or students who are planning to come down to UK at the moment, or let's say looking at the perspective of let's say next 10 years, 15 years down the line, according to your analysis?
Okay, you mean the topics or the subjects which can be emerging, right?
Topics or field, something like that.
Yeah, sure. Yes, I want to add another point to my previous question's answer, that definitely why I'm going to the UK. Definitely it's very common and everybody said the same answer, that go check the ranking, go to their web page and just check the survey analysis and all. But beside that, I would like to share another thing, that please check the REF, which is called the research framework, UK research framework ranking. That's very important, and that is very transparent and honest report. Okay, so please, all the aspirants please go to the REF ranking or the REF web page and just check details. I'm sure this is very exclusive idea that usually no one disclose, but REF ranking is also important to understand that research ethics, research culture, research communication, and at the same time research development, all these factors, how closely related to each other, and at the end time what is the output of that. So this can be if somebody is very serious about further research or higher studies. So REF ranking is important in the UK, or if the master's student is coming or be a bachelor students, they should go for the teaching ranking as well. So these are the internal UK governmental system ranking. Unless going for the QS ranking or the Times ranking, that's very common. I'm not going through that. But the internal, which is dedicated for the UK education system, go and check those ranking as well. And then you decide that which university is good and bad and blah, blah, blah. You select like that. And at the same time, I also include another point. Don't think all the universities in the UK are best. I mean, there are many universities in the UK. They are pretty much lag behind many IITs in India. Still, I still believe, according to the ranking, according to the data, according to their research. So, if you get a chance in some IITs in India and some non-popular universities in the UK, then definitely go for the IIT. That's my recommendation. Yeah. So don't be, very taboo things about your research. All UK universities are best. It's completely the individual choice. What do you want? You just want to research in a good university, or you want to make communication with other people, include your research to the public life, want to enjoy that thing. It's up to the applicant. So that's a few. And
maybe I want to interrupt on that topic. So what do you think in terms of looking at the professor and approaching a topic, or looking at the university and approaching the topic, or is it a mix of infrastructural stuff? Like in one context, if a research aspirant like who wish to do PhD in UK have to see this like, is it professor oriented or university oriented, or is it a collaboration? Like, how do you see that?
it's both, I would say, because when you are applying for a fellowship, the application itself give you an the application question they set like that. You have to give importance both the professor research at the same time university research. How a professor's research or the professor's research background aligns with my research, at the same time how my research align with the or university can support me, support system can give me to my research background. So it's both. We have to check university facilities at the same time professor background. So I can't say just blindly go for the professor, it's a good professor, and then you realize there is nothing in the university to utilize. Or at the same time, maybe university has variety of infrastructure, but the professor could not take part of that. So it's both system works together, and in the application, the questions are set up like this way. You have to answer both.
Yes,
Sorry,
Anirudh.
sorry. So, do you believe that jobs.uk is equivalent to EuroAccess? I hope you know what like EuroAccess is a portal where all the European unions put postdocships and PhD opportunities for all the students. And once you make your let's say resume or CV there, then you can, based on your filters you can apply, and it's mostly for international candidates. It's not for domestic ones. So, do you believe jobs.uk is something similar, or is it
No,
just
I
the
think
PhD is better one?
Jobs.uk is completely a private one. It's nothing related to any, like Eurex is the accompanied by European Union, right? So Jobs.uk is not a government support or not, but it's a public platform. It's a job website, honestly. So it's not necessarily only Jobs.uk I have to study. I have to follow. There are other lots of websites that the rule is, if I am advertising some position, postdoc, PhD, whatever, if I am willing to take or I am interested to take some international student, the minimum rule is that for hiring international student, I need to publish my advertisement in any of those public domain platform at least for 28 days. It can be jobs.uk, it can be freshersjob.com, blah, 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 something. I know, but that's the minimum rule. So jobs.uk is completely private things, nothing related to the university or the government. Now, the same application, if you just check in the jobs.uk website, and if you find an application and click there to apply, you can see it will redirect to you the university's main page. So that indicates, so they are just supporting or advertising the things. They are not leading the application, or they are not the main portal, right? So end of the day, the individual candidate can go to the university's individual website and they can apply through that website as well. There is nothing wrong. Yeah. I mean, that's the same thing. Yeah, jobs.uk is quite handy. They can find everything, because it's difficult for me to go to individual university and check their job, right? It's difficult, or no time for us. So it's a more common platform. It's a gathered platform, so that you can go and easily search by your jobs, by your keywords. That's it. So that is the main thing that actually working here. Yeah.
So thank you, Prof.
Yeah. Okay. There is another question that I'm about that. I forget this fellowship approach, university and professor, right? Yeah. Regarding the individual application, here definitely when somebody is approaching to a professor or any faculties, first of all, they have to keep it in mind why they will hire me if I'm selected. I mean, there are hundreds of applications. So where I am exception for them or for that people, right? So here comes that how my current research activity aligns with the professor's research. So the making the bridge, making the connection between my research and his or her existing research, the professors or the group, they will check first that. Definitely they will check first that how this alignment is important. Now, if the alignment is good, next comes to that what the skill develop, what the future skill you will develop, and whatever skill you have already, that you going to be put in the existing research. Here is the called the skill development thing. It's not just like what I will give or always I will give, it also like that what I will learn. Okay, if I join to your group, I can learn these things. So this gives me a platform to learn these things. So that they also check, especially for PhD students. Okay, you understand. So these factors are there. So individually, and now next come to that. If individually the people are going, so next when they want to fill out the form or the official document, definitely there will be a portion or a question that comes to how university supports the candidate. And here comes the what is the existing facilities of the universities. We always think that university supports only for the research, not only that. Nowadays, for example, open access publication, that's also a support. Okay, because many of the open access publication requires a higher number of fees, we all know. So how university is actually supporting my research for the open public domain, that's also very support. So that university can glorify to the applicants that if you join us, we can support your through the open access, right? So something like that, or we can give you some access to the public library or some domains that needs for your research. For example, somebody is running some AI stuffs or some simulation, they need some library access. And if they join the university, the university is going to support. So this is always, I will give something, university provides something. So it's a mix and match. So something like that way, yeah.
Thank you for that insight. Yes.
I'm missing some question.
I think we have covered most of the stuff, but do we have any other points to discuss? Maybe one question, but I don't know how generic that will be. The evolution of a researcher to a professorship in the UK, has it gonna do anything different from any other? From Europe or from India or from like how different is it? Because just before this podcast, Arun was mentioning the procedure of that evolution. in Denmark. Maybe Arun can tell that in a couple of minutes. How is that?
Yeah, then I can
Yeah.
come to Denmark. Please, Arun.
Yes.
No, based on what I've known from my friends who are actually lecturer position in the UK, and as well as what I see right now in Denmark, I guess the policies are quite different when you move from one institute to another. Let's say, let me give you an example with two universities in Denmark. Let's say there is an Aalborg University here, and there is a Danish university like DTU here, right? So let's, if I consider, and I guess overall, I would say it is all based on the funding that we bring to the department or to bring to the university as such. So let's say in DTU, in the section where I am in, after 4 years of postdoc, if you still have funding with you, then you are given a position as a researcher, not an assistant professor or a lecturer. It is a researcher. After maybe when you are eligible to apply for a senior researcher position, given the case that you still have funding, then you are a senior researcher. But in between these duration, let's say if there is an assistant professor call and you have that particular skills or what they are looking for, then you can also apply internally for that assistant professor. But everything here, it depends upon the funding that we bring. And based on what I have known or learned so far is that at least 50% of the year, your funding should be supported from the funds that you bring in. Let's say if you are an assistant professor or an associate professor or a senior researcher, no matter what, you should at least get 50% of your salary from the funding. That means literally the university pays you for 6 months, and the rest of the 6 months you have to get salary from your projects. But when you move to another department, let's say due to energy, where they have a huge funding with them, it is not the case. Where immediately after 2 years of your postdoc, and if they need faculties, then immediately then you can join as an assistant professor. So it varies within the university as well. But more or less, it is like researcher, senior researcher. Then when there is a call for an assistant professor or an associate professor, you just join there for that tenure track position. But if I move to certain other universities within Denmark, like Aalborg University or something, RS University or something, then it is like the same what we follow in India. Like after, if you have required qualification and skills, then you apply for assistant professor. After some time or with years of experience that you have, then you become associate, then professor, and so on. But what I've heard from my friends in UK, it is that until and unless you have a very big funding with you, like you bring a very big funding, maybe EPSRC or UKRA or something which is very big, and you prove to them successively, like it is not the matter that you get one funding, you get one more funding and you prove that, okay, you can do this for a concurrent amount of time as long as you want, then you can apply for a lecturer position. So most universities will have a lecturer position, then there is a senior lecturer, and still the procedure is the same. Instead of calling it as a researcher or a senior researcher, you can just apply for a lecturer. Then when the vacancy comes, you can be an associate, assistant professor, associate professor, and so on. So this is what I've heard from people in the UK and what I have experienced in Denmark. But I guess Nirmal was mostly pointing to a thing that how easy it is to be a lecturer with, let's say, some X amount of postdoc years in your career. So that maybe he was referring explicitly to that question. How easy it is, apart from getting one grant or one fellowship, how easy it is to be a lecturer position there.
Yes, and also the criteria when you compare it with India, where like we look at the publication. So here now Arun is mentioning with respect to the grants and the amount you will fetch on a yearly basis. So when you look at that from a UK perspective, how do you see that?
Okay, so it's not straightforward, honestly, but it's straightforward. Okay, how it works here, I'm telling you. So definitely there is also a chronological way to get the professorship. Like postdoc, then lecturer, senior lecturer, assistant professor, then professor, blah blah blah. This is common, and what exactly the India is also in India it's also doing. Now here, the most good thing is that if you get a very it's not the amount, also it's the prestige of the fellowship. Suppose if you get say a very prestigious fellowship, maybe the amount is less, okay, or maybe a fellowship say for 5 years grant. For example, there is called a future leader fellowship by UKRI. So if you get that fellowship, or if you get the what's that called, this European Union, I forget, ECR grant, early career research grant. So something, this kind of fellowship, which is a 4 years, 5 years grant, maybe the grant amount is not so big, but its whole journey, or it's the whole duration is big, and makes an impact to the ERC grant, sorry. Yeah, so so accordingly, the university itself offer you, after complete your grant, you can join as a lecturer. Okay, that's the university support letter which we need to supply, or we need to upload during our application, because we need a support letter from the university, that how university applies. So that can be a strong point. If I get the grant, I will, after finishing my 5 years or 4 years to the grant, I will be directly employed as a lecturer to that university. That's the way, that's a direct way you can give an approach, or the university can support you. And next is, here are two types of lecturership. One is called ENS and another is ENR. So education and research, that means mostly the professors or anybody can do. So a part of education, I mean teaching, a part of research, right? And ENS, which is the scholarship, education and scholarship, that means they can't do any research. They are only involving in the teaching and the administrative works, that's it. Yeah, so there is no independent research, no independent thing. They can be an author to any publication, but they don't have their own research. Now here, if a professor or a lecturer putting importance on more research, then they have less teaching. And if you are giving more teaching, then less research, and accordingly your salary decide. So definitely those who are in ENR category, they get more salary, because research is important also for the university, right? So they can adjust their time accordingly. I mean, both are compulsory, but they can schedule, I mean, they can fix, say, if I'm an ENR, education and research, so say, for my case, 80% of my research, 20% is the teaching. So I can schedule it, but for ENS, they can't do any research, so they have to put more on the teaching part. And that's quite common. And at least initial 5 years, being a lecturer or professor, whatever role, you have to teach. Here it's mandatory. So it's not just like I get a professorship, I will do only research, no teaching, nothing, not like that. You have to teach, and that's the rule. And UK, you have to pass a certain teaching qualification as well to teach people. Okay, it starts with the university learning some skill development course for teaching purposes. Like in India, if we are going to apply for some I don't know, some courses are there for school teaching, for college teaching. Similarly in UK, there is some course which is internally running by the university, also nationally called the higher academy fellow or something. So that's more advanced, but initially you have to pass some internal courses, then you are able to teach. So this is the thing. And in a general way, for example, I'm a postdoc, I have 2 years experience, I want to apply for a lecturership. So I saw some notification, I applied through that. And now here comes how publication importance. Initially in the advertisement, they don't mention anything about publication or any fund. Then you have to secure at least this much of funding so that you can apply, or you have to have this much of publication, then you have applied. No, I have lots of example. People doesn't have any publication, but more grant, but they become a lecturer. It happens here as well. Publication doesn't matter. also grant doesn't matter. It's completely matter what they looking for. That see why we see the publication and grants, because these are the parameters of output of my independency to be justified. Okay, I'm saying I'm an independent researcher, I can do this, I can do that, but what is the proof? So proof is the publication, or proof is the grant, right? So that is why we can establish ourselves that okay, I have generated 60 publication or say 40 publication because I know how to do a research. See, my output is that. So it's not about the number, it's all about that how can you develop your skill during your, I mean, not just repeat the same thing like your PhD. What is the new skill development, and how, as I mentioned, that align my research to the existing university research, and how I can be give an added value to the university system so that it can reach somewhere, good way in upcoming 5 years. So that's the vision they need to follow. Again, publication and grant is just a criteria or a parameter to show whether I'm independent or not. It doesn't mean you have to be 10 publication, 20 publication, or no number, nothing else, just to showcase them. Even you can give an example for, I have seen in many applications that I'm a registered scientist in the UK Science Council, by the way. So in their application, they mention, give two example how you can manage your skill, or how you can manage some accidental, management during your research. For example, I'm working with one of my colleague in the lab, and the colleague has some problem and they left in between the research. Now, how can I manage the research? Okay, should I hire another colleague? That takes long time. Or should I do by myself? That maybe degrade the quality of the research. So that is the management skill, that how you can inbuild. So these typical things they can look if they can hire usually a lecturer in a general way. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I was just thinking this is a very good perspective of like even for a candidate to approach, like, because why I was amazed by your response. Recently, I was just going through the profiles of a couple of professors in Indian premium institutes, and I could see that it was not their publication or the grant that was actually making them to become the professor, or it was their area, it was the skill that they were offering. It was quite a new areas they were doing research that made them to fit into that department, because that department was not having anyone of that expertise. So it was irrespective of their publication, and the grant made them to be a part of. Because recently, one of our colleague from this group got into IIT Bombay, so she was also telling to me the same thing. It is my area, because if you look at my citation or anything, like, you won't see that why did they choose me, but what she was offering was a specific area which they were actually interested in.
Exactly, it depends on field to field, subject to subject. For example, if somebody said that chemistry is a very general field, so there are lots of scope of publication, right? It's easy to publish 2-3 papers per year. There's no problem in chemistry. But suppose you are working some environmental geology or this type of topic, which is very core, the sports science. I know people working on sports science or very, very interesting topic. I mean, I never know about those subjects, ecology and conservations, So these are, it depends on your research field. Where, suppose I'm applying as a PhD, a lecturer, I'm a chemistry background, they will first check my publication. How? Because it's a common field. You have, some people apply 200 publication, I just 40 publication. So, but somebody applies, say, from conservation and ecology field. Okay, so here it comes, okay, it's a rare field, publication is difficult, so what exact skill they have. So that's the way I think the panel or the judgment comes usually. And definitely the main criteria is to fulfill all the criteria. nothing single has to be left. If they mention in their job application the criteria, you have to be this, you have to know this, you have to done this. I know many people, even including sometimes I have done that, they are asking me that, do you know this instrument? I maybe know just the theory, but I never use. I said, yes, I know. Yeah, but I reject because they know through my publication, they understand that, okay, this guy doesn't use this one, or this guy doesn't know. It happens in many applications. So whatever you know, I mean, completely. Yeah, don't little. Yeah, so that's make more complication your application. So I think all the criteria, and you can see the job criteria level is not depend on your marking 50% mark, not like Indian typical things, not like that. They will check the skills. Do you have this skill? There is a desirable skills, there is a advanced skills. So they any job advertisement in the UK, so desirable has to be matched, and advanced, if you have, then fine, you will get a priority.
So thank you, Anurag, for a detailed discussion about today's podcast, where we discussed several aspects, including Brexit, global talent visa, skilled worker visa, and how it impacts the applications from not only from India, from other parts of the world as well, and how it will bring in more opportunities because the universities or the industries now have to do all these works, which were not similar before of the Brexit, right? And also we have touched upon one of the important key point is that students looking for an MS or a PhD application or a postdoc application for fellowships, in particular for postdocs, should also check about the REF webpage as well as the teaching rankings of the UK, apart from the QS as well as the THE rankings. And also, in a nutshell, what we have understood is how, after arriving in the UK for an MS or a PhD or a postdoc, how cultural exchange can facilitate, and as well as how interdisciplinary exposure in research can also be a good thing, like similar to other European countries, especially if you are from an India. If you are an Indian, I can easily relate how interdisciplinary things can be of a more exposure if you are in a UK or in any other European countries. And lastly, we have talked about the applications for how an early career researcher should approach UK universities for possible lectureship position or for a researcher position or something, and how how publications or the grants can play a role, as well as how their skills can bring up an impact in the university for their open positions. And lastly, we thank for being for agreeing to us for doing this podcast with us, and we wish you all the success for your future career as well. Thank you, Anurag.